Let me turn my iPhone off. Turn off. I don't know. I thought maybe you could do that by voice. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good.
Do you have any big birthday plans?
I'm going to be very mellow this birthday. Been working pretty hard all through the summer, so I don't really have any steam to blow off anyway. And I had a really big birthday on my 30th, so I find I don't want to ask for anything because that was such an amazing party that I think it makes up for the next 10 birthdays. I never have been like a self-birthday planner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really. I know people are.
Right.
I've never been like, you have to come to my birthday party, man. What are you doing Friday night? You have to come to my party. You have to come to my birthday. It's my birthday. I see them somewhere between important and sort of run-of-the-mill.
Right.
You know.
All right. My first real question to you is that this is officially the longest drought you've had between album cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, it's the first time that you really started recording and then stopped and then started again on and off several times.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it seemed from the outside at least less structured, and you really took your time crafting the record. What made you decide to choose this path for this album, given that your previous formulas had worked so well, and do you think the outcome was beneficial?
You know, a few other little ideas had sort of been laying around, but a lot of the stuff that I recorded before I really sat down in March didn't really go that far, and which is sort of an interesting concept of like, did I make a really bad record that I didn't finish over time?
Right.
And I probably did. Probably had like a really half-baked record that I sort of touched on, and probably have 10 or 11 songs that came out in one way or another in my life, and brought them home and listened to them and went, ugh. So maybe I did have a year and a half to work on the record. It's just the first half of that year and a half didn't produce all that much.
Right.
You know. But you work in waves, man. Everything works in cycles. You get one up and one down and one up and one down. So maybe I sort of buried the one that really wasn't coming together successfully by not really taking any of those tunes and finishing them.
Mm-hmm.
Because a song has to be good enough to get finished. If I can finish the tune, I know it's probably good enough. And if I can finish recording the tune without getting over it, then I know it's good enough.
You had recently talked about handing in the masters for the record,
Mm-hmm.
and how it was sort of giving up your baby, if you will. How
Yeah.
did that feel this time around versus how it felt during Room for Squares or Heavier Things or Continuum?
Turning in the masters this time, as I had tweeted about, and the feeling of like, the separation anxiety of letting the thing go, I think it's the same on every record, but I don't remember. Because by the time you're at that stage, you're just so spent, But there is that sense that there is nothing else to fix, for better or for worse. 'Cause sometimes there's a comfort in always being able to fix something, but that finish line, it came up fast, But it's what I do for a living. It's what people do their stuff for a living, and and they have to meet deadlines like everyone else, You got to sew the head back up if you're a neurologist. You can't just be like, I don't know, I'm gonna go home and sleep on this. It's like you have to somehow wheel the thing out and go, we're done. I'd like to keep your car for the next 3 or 4 months. Really do some diagnostics. Make sure that there's nothing else I could fix on it. You're like, no, I need my car, I have plenty more analogies for this, by the way.
What is the most important thing you learned about yourself while making this record?
The most important thing I learned about myself while making this record is that I can do it. I don't have to rely on the universe lining up and sending me a song that I should be thankful for and assume that I will never be able to do again. Because when you're first starting to write music and it starts to hit it off with people, it's sort of like, is it going to still be there? Did I lose it? Did I, remember the kid who breaks his arm and all of a sudden you can throw like a crazy fastball? What movie is that? Fastball? Rookie of the Year. You know what I mean? It's like, am I going to at some point lose the arm? you know. So this record was important because I really had the experience of going into a room and saying, well, I'm gonna write music, you know. And that's not to say that every day I sat down I wrote something, but I learned that it's not as magical. It doesn't have to be as whimsical as I think it is. I think I was wasting energy going, please be here, please be here. And I learned that there are some songwriting tactics that you can pick up that can make you a better writer. So I sort of came into my own a little bit on a confidence level, like, put me in a room, let's write. You know, these Disney kids, man, they write in an hour. They sit down and write songs in an hour.
One of the things I've always admired musically about you is how for each record you've had different musical influences. Mm-hmm. Some have been more obvious than others. So for Battle Studies, who were some of your influences and which particular records or songs motivated you?
So there was something in the air I wanted to sort of grab, which was that timeless rock, California rock thing, you know, like Tom Petty, Fleetwood Mac, Eagle, sort of really, you know, because sometimes I can be really complicated in the writing, in the guitar playing, and the core instrument of the song is complicated. And this was really different this time because I left the songs wide open. War of My Life, you know, half of my heart. I would never have let myself stand for that when I was putting my first few records out, where I had to sort of like do, you know, tricks with the revolvers, you know. And I think there's a certain luxury that comes with having proven yourself as an artist that you can then pull back a little bit. So this record isn't the death blow to the throat after people have already seen a show or heard a record or seen me play. It's like, it's really like, well, what would happen now if I didn't have to insert all of this, you know, guitar forward, idea forward kind of stuff. And the other thing about Battle Studies that's completely different from the other records is I've always had the blues influence in the vocals as well. So where I was going on my other records writing from that sort of bluesy riff, you know, me and all my friends, you know, gravity wants to bring me down, you know what I mean? How to really hit these notes in the order that I've written them. It wasn't just interpreting them. It wasn't like, well, here's your lyrics and just get in front of it and go, you know. But this is really, I was born in the arms of imaginary friend. Then you come on crashing in like the realest thing. Try my best to understand all that your love can. It's like really plotted out on a melodic level, and so that's what makes the record different to me, is that it's not really a bluesy sort of a thing. It's a distinctly melodic thing, you know. It's heartbreak warfare. It's heartbreak warfare. You know, really distinct notes. And if you miss them, you miss the melody.
You've had a lot of cool moments in 2009, mm-hmm. and given that the year is quickly ending, what has been your favorite thus far and why?
My favorite moment of 2009? You mean for myself?
Or professionally, whichever.
Yeah, of 2009. My favorite moment of 2009 was making this record. 4 people in a room every day for 6 months, building every last piece, you know, like not a single imported piece, like tooled every piece of this record together. We would work all week, you know, blow off steam on Saturday night, go back to work. You know, it was all about how could you blow off steam so you could sit back behind the board again and really focus. Because after 5-6 days in a row, you can't make yourself sit down. So we'd run off to Vegas and have a blast and come back and hit it again. So we had this interesting summer that was sort of like being in school, because we were classmates and learned a whole bunch of stuff, and that was a great time. Playing with Jay-Z at the Garden was, even by my expectations, greater than I had thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be great. For me, it was like hearing a new style of music get born. Because whenever you see like a rapper and a rocker together, they never quite comfortably meet in the middle, you know? either the rocker is trying to keep up with the hip hop thing, or the hip hop guy is trying to keep up with the rocker. But Jay and I keeping up with each other was really cool, and it wasn't rap rock, and it wasn't a gimmick. It was like a little bit of a new strain of an idea that was hip hop and a little bit of blues and a little bit of rock, and it got real spacey. It was awesome, like space age hip hop blues. Yeah.